Good morning, good evening, or good night, folks. Welcome to Gaming Redhanded. My name is Simon Redhand, and today we're going to be checking out more of Path of Exile, Settlers of Kalgor. I'm going to be going through and checking out the Runesmithing table. I just actually got this to level 10. I'm sure I am not the first to be doing this video, but I wanted to go through and check out some of the enchants, because this, of the things they announced, all the systems they announced, this was the one that interested me the most, was checking out new and exciting ways to craft my weapons. And so far I'm very disappointed. Well, let's start with this. I'm going to show you guys quickly how much I've actually gotten from the mechanic itself in terms of the runes. I originally attributed the cost of the runes smithing to just be that the league was new and I was just not playing the league long enough. But now that I have it level 10, I'm absolutely convinced that this mechanic is something that GG threw into the game and decided to let the players kind of figure it out, right? And decided it was how to balance it after that. I'm hoping this is not the final state. I'm hoping that they decide later on that the amount of runes you're getting is not enough, but let's go through and check real quick. I have this is just from me running it myself. I haven't bought any runes, anything like that. I tried to run the 4-hour and the 30-minute ones, depending on how long I'm playing that day. But so far, I've gotten 38 sun runes, gotten 8 river runes, 15 war runes, 29 bound runes, 15 life runes, 2 journey runes, 2 time runes. I've used one for the upgrade, 1 mountain rune, and 1 power rune that I've also used for the upgrade itself. So far, I've gotten. So far I've gotten 2 bounty runes, 28 sun runes, 8 river runes, 15 war runes, 29 bound runes, 15 life runes, 2 journey runes, 2 time runes. You don't have 1 left because I used 1 for the upgrade, and 1 mountain rune and 1 power rune, which I also used to upgrade and got myself to level 10 here. So that's what I've gotten self-crafted, right? And I went through here and I got the impression that some of these enchants were for, you know, just leveling up and whatever you could do. What I learned is that you can't reroll them, for one. So when you use them, they're only a one-time use. Like, so when you go through, and let's throw this this wand in here now, and this wand here can get fire damage. 1 sun rune, you throw it in here, bam, get the 9 to 18 fire damage, which is kind of cool. You get an additional damage roll to throw on your weapons here. It's very low. You compare it to what I have on there. This is a trash weapon I picked up from the shipping container here. So 9 to 18 fire damage. The crafted version that you can get, if we go over to the crafting table, is roughly, let's check it, 11 to 23. So roughly the same for the lowest level enchant here, right? Except the difference is this is an explicit, so it's basically giving you 1 additional prefix modifier, which is a bit stronger, so the valuation of it is a bit more different, which, you know, you have to kind of gauge it differently. But the argument becomes, is that worth it, right? So let's go through some pricing before I get too far into the weeds here. I went through, did a quick search on PoE trade, not the currency exchange, just to see what the prices of most runes are, and I did the pricing based on what people actually respond to, because you'll see a bunch of 1 chaos, but no one's opening trades for 1 chaos. 2 chaoses, whatever price I have on here is the price that someone actually tried to give me a trade for, right? So it's the usual, go through the entire list, spamming whisper until someone actually responds. So sun runes, 2 chaos each, bound runes, 2 chaos each, life runes, 3 chaos, war runes, 4 chaos, river runes, bounty runes, both 3 chaos each, journey runes, 5 chaos each, mountain runes, 45 chaos each, time runes, 1 divination, power runes, 2.2 to 2.3 divinations. I just put 2.3 divs, and at the time, 1 div is worth 150 chaos, 1 mirror is worth 470 divine, just to kind of have a baseline of what our currency exchange is going for. Well, I love crafting. I love experimenting and playing with things that, even if they're unorthodox, I don't mind going through a build that I know is not going to work, just to kind of bang my head against the wall for a bit, and then eventually I have to like put it out. Like, as you see, what I started off this season with was a two-hand mace using Bleed Gladiator, and I took that probably about red maps, level 92 or so, before I had to eventually change it out. But that's a different video. I'll explain why I had to change out my equipment a bit. As you can see here, I'm using different gear than a two-hand mace. Anyway, I figured I'm gonna go through these crafts one by one just to kind of see what's being offered, what the value is, and seeing, is this even worth using? Because I think that there needs to be a lot more runes coming into the economy for any of these enhanced to even be worth trying out. And I think in their current state, they're kind of prohibitively expensive, and the value they're giving is not that great. And I was kind of hoping for some more interesting enchants here. Like, I look at all these enchants here, and they're roughly, well, like I was saying earlier, Sun runes 2 chaos each, so even the cheapest enchants are roughly around 2 chaos, which is like, all right, that we're in bench crafting territory, right? A lot of the bench crafts are about 2 chaos, 4 chaos. Up there we'll get to about 1 exalt, maybe 2 divs or so when we start getting into meta crafting and start getting to more advanced recipes. But you know, nothing crazy, nothing, and usually pretty reasonable, right? What's up? So what you see here is first thing you get is sun runes, and sun runes all revolve around the fire attacks. So I think the lowest tier is here, and then this is because of the highest tier, which is about 55 sun runes. Sun runes are 2 chaos each, so the highest tier craft for a sun rune craft is about 110 chaos. Now this kind of translates into being, it's hard to gauge, right? Because it's weaker than the bench craft for sure, but it's a bit different because it is an additional damage, because it doesn't take over an explicit or it is an implicit, but it doesn't take over your implicits, so you can add it to your weapon and basically have essentially another flat damage craft, which is pretty strong, right? So if you were to roll, say, I'm thinking of like a bow, and you get a nice bow for, say, prismatic elemental arrow, right? Spectrum, whatever it's called, right? Where you're getting high lightning damage, high fire damage, T1, 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 and then you get to add another bit of flat fire or flat lightning or flat cold. It is quite a bit of damage. You're gonna kick a bow into what, 1200, 2000 DPS territory, right? So it can get pretty interesting, right? If you get a perfectly crafted base to throw this thing onto. So 110 chaos for that doesn't seem too bad, right? 55 sun runes is rather reasonable, but I think not all of these runes are worth the final cost, right? So we go through here. It starts off basic with just flat damage scaling up, kind of similar to where the bench crafts are, and then you get some of the more entertaining crafts, which is like, I don't know about shock one, but ignite proliferation is pretty cool, because then you get to change your links around from this. So this one here, though, being run 110 sun runes and 41 bound runes being 3 chaos each, this turns out to be roughly worth, I would say, about 3 divs. This is 220 chaos. This will be about 150 chaos. So this is a div. This is just over a div and a half, so about 2.5 divs to do this craft here, right? What else is here? Like, I go through the bench here. There's not much here that I'm really excited for. I think the prices kind of stay in line until you get to the end, the later game stuff, where it's like, this price is being gated not by what the craft is, but by how rare this rune is to get. And I'm not even sure if it's rare, but it's just like, maybe people are doing the right shipments or whatever, but the shipments you get back is not enough, right? Like, you'll send in a 2 million shipment and you're getting back 1 rune, 2 runes. If you kill one of the mechanic bosses, they might drop 3 runes at each. So it's like, you're not, how often do you get them? I mean, I haven't even seen the bandit guy. He's so rare that people are selling challenges for like 6 divs just to get him, right? Because he's just so uncommon and infrequent that you won't see him enough to see whatever he's dropping and get runes from him. I've seen the Erusium boss a few times, and that's it. I haven't found anybody else. My ships don't get taken hostage. My wrap runners don't get taken hostage. So the only boss I've encountered so far is the boss you encounter when you find that pit on maps sometimes, right? So the rune influx is kind of low, and there is some interesting stuff here and some cool stuff here that I would love to take advantage of if, you know, the rune. I think the rune influx is not that big. I think it should be increased a great deal. I think that some of these lower runes should be coming in at a higher number than they are now, and some of the higher runes should be coming in a bit higher too, just so the price isn't so crazy, right? Let's keep going. Spectral Wolf would be kind of cool, but I think the issue I'm gonna have with this is the fact that this does not. I wish it said socket, supported by socketed gems or something along those lines, right? What wording are we looking for here? Not trigger, but I would say skills socketed in this weapon are now supported by summon Spectral Wolf on kill or something, or Spectral Wolf. I wish it wasn't on kill, because on kill is so cumbersome to make work. You always got to do some writhing glass nonsense to make on kill stuff work in bosses, and it ends up feeling clunky, and it ends up capping how much you can actually do with the build because of that. I would like this. I would like Spectral Wolf more. I honestly, I wish they would just stop fucking around with this skill and just make it a skill gem. Like, we've got enough undead minions. It'd be so cool to have a minion that isn't a skeleton or some kind of monster. A Spectral Wolf would be very cool. This should just be a base skill gem. Stop making it an enchant. Stop screwing around with this thing. Calling Strike, basic. You know what it is. It's rather affordable though. So putting these on 2 weapons, not really an issue. 2 rune daggers, what I would see this for. 2 wands, either or. It's just the on kill thing that makes this a complete turn off. I hate using on kill skills because it tells me you can't use it for bosses, only for maps, right? What else is here? Unless you do Writhing Jar or some kind of nonsense like that. What else here? Let's see anything else interesting here catch my eye. Every 3 seconds, consume a nearby corpse. It's like Devouring Totem. It's not terrible, not great. 8 life runes. Life runes right now are 3 chaos each, so this is roughly 18 chaos, 20 chaos. It's cheap. Whatever, throw this on there. I don't think it'd be helpful. It's not that interesting. 25% chance to summon Raging Spirit on kill. Again, we're in the on kill nonsense, which is like, I wish it was on hit. I wish it was on rare, unique hit or something like that. It's okay. If I was doing summon Raging Spirits, I'd probably throw this on something just to get the cap faster. What else is here? Minions spread Burning Ground on death after dealing 10% of their max life with fire damage for a second. This is fun and exciting. This could be something cool you could do with a build. And at least it's on some decent weapons. Dagger and wand. You definitely could make this work. This is kind of cool if you do some kind of combust style build. But we'll be looking at cost wise. 25 runes, so 75 chaos. And 15's 30 chaos, so roughly 105 chaos. Not bad. It's kind of expensive. It makes it late game. You're definitely not turning on a build for this early on. This is your second character, right? What else we have here? You and nearby allies have 1 to 8 to 12 added lightning damage per blue socket. No. Okay, anyway, move on. I guess. And it only goes on two-hand sword, axe, mace. I don't do group play, so in my head I can't even envision a playstyle that makes this worth any sort of slottage, right? If you go down some more here, originally this is what I currently had crafted on the axe here, which is increased physical damage. Fortunately, you cannot roll it, so we don't get the max roll on your first attempt. There's no method of taking this off your weapon, which I kind of wish they would think about putting something in there, because you would want to keep jamming runes in here to try to attempt to get this to the max roll, but you can't. You get what you get and you keep what you keep, right? This one's very expensive, right? Because war runes are 4 chaos each. So, well, I guess it's not very expensive, but 4 chaos each, 50 chaos, so it's roughly 200 chaos to get this one on your weapon, right? I kind of wish this scaled a bit higher. I kind of wish there was something there specifically for ailments, but this one here is physical damage. And 25% is not bad. It's roughly a notable with no other stats tied to it. But again, the war runes means that you can't even really earn this yourself. I can't imagine trying to get this enchant in solo self-found. In solo self-found, I feel like this entire bench is off limits to you. You're not gathering this at all unless you're playing for the entire length of the season just to get one of these enchants, because getting 50 war runes on your own seems like quite an undertaking, right? You got to be constantly on point with your ships. And I have to admit, I'm not on point with my ships. I'm on map sometimes, or sometimes I go to heat and I completely forget. Like, I'm making this video now and I know, I just remembered about 40 minutes ago, it flashed that I ran out of money and I did not go to a map yet. And I'm just sitting here not making money. My town is not functioning. And it's this new time element that's, I can't imagine doing it on Civil Self-Found. I feel like I'd already be annoyed trying to maintain it. We go down further, see what else is here. Anything else more interesting in this tree? So the wiki is saying that stalking pustule is a skill granted by Dustblight. Iron boots. Oh, never actually used those for any reasons. And my bows with relevant runesmithing enchantment behaves like volatile dead. A corpse near the targeted location explodes, dealing damage in a small area and creating an orb which moves toward. So I guess we've probably seen this already. It's probably if I were to guess, those green orbs or those red orbs that you get on maps. I guess I don't know if this damage it's doing. I'm not sure if you can scale it. I'm not sure if you can do anything with it. It seems kind of cool, but it's another one of those on kill things where it's like, all right, whatever. I imagine if you're mapping, maybe it'll give you some slight additional clear, but I don't think so. I'm not sure. It's something cool that I would want to mess with. It's 40 chaos. I would throw it on a weapon if I was early mapping just to see how cool it is, to see if it works well. But you know, I don't think it would be something you would keep on your weapon very long. Level 1 envy skill, which this is the chaos aura. Again, this is in the territory of spectral wolves to me, which is like, why are you fucking around with this? Why is this not a skill gem? Why is envy aura not just an aura you can just put on? Why is it something you have to get through fancy means like this? You know, I kind of wish envy was just a skill gem by itself. What else we got down here? Chaotic might. This is basically the same as unholy might. It just gives you chaos damage, a fist to chaos damage on kill. I don't like on kill stuff, so I wouldn't even consider putting this on. Cold damage, chance to freeze, attack speed. Attack speed is interesting. This is something I would probably definitely consider putting on my weapon if I had a spot and I had to consider what to use it for. This is 26 river runes. Right now, river runes are going to my grid again, 3 chaos each. Life runes are also 3 chaos, so this is roughly so 75, let's say 75, so one div. Oops, something got cast speed, sorry. So cast speed, oh, so this is interesting. So attack speed capped off at 6%. Cast speed goes to 18%. Is there not a level 2 version of this attack speed? That's interesting. That's odd. So I mean, attack speed is technically better than the cast speed, but damn, that kind of sucks that you don't have an 18% version of attack speed, or even like I would take a 12% version of attack speed too. It makes it cheaper though. 25, 20. So I mean, I guess not much cheaper. It's still gonna be roughly a div, right? Trigger level 10 icicle burst when you hit a frozen enemy. Could be cool. There's a build around here that you could make here that you could get your freeze high enough, but it'd be hard because this is one thing that you wouldn't be able to use on bosses. This is more for just a more clear, and I can't think of an ice build that struggles with clear that would need to use this. You know, I wouldn't spend, this would be roughly 80 chaos to put this on my weapon. I don't know. I'm not sure. Like right now I'm playing last rate of hemorrhage and this build struggles with clear. I would consider something that increases the clear with this skill. I can't think of an ice skill that would struggle with clear. What else? 10% chance to create chill to the ground when you freeze an enemy. Again, no, I don't think that's, it's not interesting enough to me. It's cheap. I guess it's a cheap craft, but it's not that interesting to me. Consecrate ground when you shatter an enemy. That's kind of cool. That could be cool to use. Right, especially with some of these consecrated ground flips that they've added to the game, some of these notables that change consecrated ground to chaos damage and whatever. There's something cool you can do with this right here. What else do we have here? Gain cold damage as extra fire damage against frozen enemies. There's too many conditionals here. Like there's too many conditionals here for me, right? So one, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this in general, right? And then two, so I gotta freeze you in order to get extra fire damage. There's too many hoops here. My brain's not big enough to think of a build that wants to convert cold to fire and then but still want to freeze, right? So maybe someone could tell me in the comments what build you're thinking of that you're using to do this many hoops for. Minions deal increased damage if you've been hit recently. This is if you've been hit recently. This is a new one because usually it's if you've used the skill recently. If you've been hit recently, I feel like I'm out of position if I've been hit recently on a minion build. But I'm pretty sure you can keep this up. Pretty sure you can go in there and keep, like, especially if you do like a shield charge face forward, you could probably keep this up. I don't know. I would use this as my enchant if I have limited space to use my weapon. I'm going for the +1. They have +1 to almost everything down here. That's what's going on my weapon, right? But this goes on one hand: sword, axe, and mace, which don't really call out to be mini weapons to me. I guess this like has like Templar in mind with this. I'm not sure what. I've been playing. I played Necro for the first couple of years of playing this game, and I can't think of a time where I was like, yeah, you know what I want to put on? I want to put on a one-hand mace. Oh, it includes scepters, I guess. Scepters. I guess I'm wrong. Scepters. I've used scepters before. I've never used a sword on a minion build though, or an axe. But scepters, I have. I created a double +1 scepter with a 40% chance, or if it's 40% cold or some craziness on there before. Way back in the days, one of the worst crafting experience I've ever had. I kind of wish I was making videos back then to kind of record that crap. See, I probably still have it somewhere lost in standard. I have to go search through all my disposable tabs to find it. Anyway, neither here nor there. How much does this cost? 50 river runes, 50 sun runes. We're in the 3 div territory for this one, right? Is this worth 3 div? No, we're in 2 div territory for this one. Is this worth 2 divs? Definitely not. Definitely not. I would not put this on a weapon. I feel like there would be something better to put on there. Recover 1 to 3% life on kill. And this is 13 bounty runes, 15 life runes, 14 sun runes. And so, let's see, bounties 2 chaos, life 3 chaos, sun runes 14 chaos. I mean 2 chaos. So we're looking at 26, 45, 26. So roughly just almost close to a div, rounding up to a div for these two here. Definitely not worth putting on, especially it's 2-hand axe, only 2-hand axe, 2-hand mace. What I would say is one of the biggest issues I was having with mace is survivability, but I don't think life on kill. First of all, wait. This is only on 2-hand axe, and this is only on 2-hand mace. What if I'm having mana troubles on my axe and health troubles on my mace? What is this? This is annoying. So, oh my god. So, first of all, these 2 mods are mediocre anyway. Do not invest divs into putting this on your weapon. But on that, in that same respect, the fact that you can't even put these on, like, what is this limitation? Why? What's the thought? What's the logic behind this limitation here of this is axes only and this is 2-hand maces only? These seem like
where we headed today.
It should be, first of all, it should be 2-handers, all 2-handers. I don't understand this the hyper specificity that the runesmithing asks for. All right, keep going. Anyway, like I wouldn't look twice at these things to begin with, but I just found that funny. These, again, this too. Fire for 2-hand sword, cold for 2-hand axe, lightning for 2-hand mace. Like, come on. Jeez, all right. And it's the same thing. This is roughly gonna be about 2 divs. The war runes are 4 chaos each. 41 sun runes, so we're looking at 82. We're looking at just, I think this is also gonna be 80 or so, right? 80 chaos, so 27 times 4. Let's check that out real quick. 108 chaos. And then this would be 2, also some 60. So this would be right around 3 divs almost. Right, so no, we're looking at 2 divs almost, right? 2.5 for this. I'm gonna see all 3 of them be the same boat. All right, could be cool if it wasn't so hyper specific. Like, I don't understand why this is not just all 3. I feel like someone was just getting cute with these designations and going through them, and it's like, why is this? If I'm using a 2-hander and you're like, I only want conversion, man, 2-hander is fine, but it's just like, why is fire delegated to 2-hand sword? Why is cold delegated to 2-hand axe? Why is lightning delegated to 2-hand mace? Why is this specific thing happening right now? All right, it's just so strange. It's already annoying to play melee. Like, this is my first league playing melee, and I'm already so irritated with how many weapons have, you must use an axe or sword, you must use a mace, you must, and it's just like, the hyper specificity on weapon usage is like, why would you ever want to main melee and deal with this playing through the game? I know I don't ever want to play melee again, just because of how this here, where you look at it and you're like, requires a 1-hand axe or 1-handed sword, and it's just like, well, what do I want to do a 2-handed? What do I want to do an interesting build? Like, when I was playing the 2-hand mace, like, Earthquake was all right, but I wouldn't have settled on Earthquake. But I was like, when I looked through the things that was allowed to use a 2-hand mace, it's like, well, this is all I really have access to is Earthquake, Ground Slam, Earth Shatter. I don't really like the other skills. I guess Earthquake is an interesting mechanic, and at the end of the day, it's like, well, this is kind of limited. This is all I can really do with it, but it's like, it just kind of really bothered me that melee weapons are locked to certain weapon types for lore reasons, maybe. I don't know what the idea is behind it. Let's continue going through the rest of this. Covers enemy in ash, very expensive. You can just tell by looking at it. Bound runes 2 chaos, sun runes 2 chaos. This is 88, 27. Actually, we're still in 2 div territory. 2 div, 2 div, 2 divs, 2 divs. This is all 2 div territory still, right? Enemies killed by your hits are destroyed. Locked to claws. Locked to 2. This is locked. This is not this is a staff, right? Staff, war staff. So only staffs can cover enemies in ash. Only 2-hand axes can cover enemies in frost. Get access. So for some reason the theme is axes do cold damage. I don't know why. I don't know where it's coming from. Maybe there's some deeper lore reason that I'm missing that I don't see why axes are relegated to cold damage. Maybe I'll figure it out soon as I keep going through this. Gain 7 to 10% of elemental damage as extra chaos damage. 55, 45, 55. This is very expensive. Very expensive. So
where are we headed today?
55 times 4. We're into like 5 div territory, in my opinion. Right, this is definitely something like, I think when you're into that territory of like 4 or 5 divs, I know a lot of people who do like high-end meta crafting, they don't really think 4 or 5 divs is very expensive, but because you're already dropping like 20, 30, 40, hundreds divs on making some item that, you know, some one-of-one item for your build to finish it off, right? However, when you're like looking at this from like a, let's say like a new player perspective, and you're coming in here as like oh, you know, let me just throw something into this. A lot of these are prohibitively expensive. You should not be, if your build isn't completely done, you shouldn't be looking at any of these things. And that's the problem, because a lot of these runes give me the impression that you would want to put them on as you're leveling and on your weapons, and you throw them away because like, oh, some of these are really low damage, so you would throw it on as you get them, right? But the runes aren't coming in fast enough for you to even consider doing that, right? Your hits against your marked enemies cannot be blocked or suppressed. Kind of cool. Fairly inexpensive. I don't know how they choose their evaluations. I would love to hear them kind of explain how they thought of these rune pricings, right? What made them think to decide this is what they're going to price things at. Because like when you look at like the +1 to all, which is heavily desired, right? Imagine crafting well, this only goes on staff, and staff can do something interesting where they can roll +2 to socketed and then +3 global, so you can get +5 to a skill on a staff, and then you add this +1 on there, and you know you're +6 plus the global, right? So this is kind of cool. You can get a lot of lot of spell levels with this, right? I can easily see myself playing a minion build with a staff, getting double 6-link going on here, and it's kind of cool. This is not a bad one, right? This is not a bad one, and it's relatively inexpensive. 75 journey runes. Journey runes right now are 5 chaos each. For people who are willing to respond to it, that's not a lot. You need 75. I'm gonna say you'd probably creep into the 6-7 chaos territory still. We'll still do the math based on 5. So 75 times 5, right? It's 375 chaos, right? So you're roughly into the 2.5 div territory, 3 divs territory, right? So in 2.5 div territory for the first half of it, and the second half is war rooms, which they are 4 chaos each. So you're in roughly 3 to 4 chaos, 3 to 4 div territory for each of the enchants, which I think 3 to 4 divs for a +1 to all is fair value, right? I think that's a good price, right? I think some of these might be too expensive, but I think for sure +1 all minions, fair value. +1 to all chaos lighting. You know what? 4 divs, good price for all these, right? I don't like that it's relegated to a staff. I know that staffs get a lot of high weapon roll levels, but I don't like that this is staff only. I don't like that any of these are weapon locked to begin with, because I don't understand the logic they're using when they decide only staffs can get +1 to all with runesmithing. Only axes can get cold damage with runesmithing. You know, I don't understand what logic is being used here. I don't understand what rules are being facilitated here. Your hits against marked enemies cannot be blocked. This seems like it should be able to go on a shield, but you can't enchant shield, so now it's on a one-hand sword. But right now, as you can see, I'm using a one-hand axe. What if I was using a dagger? I would like my hits to not be blocked or suppressed. Why can't I do that on a different weapon type? Why do I need that? You already... So this is not only gated by weapon, it's gated by skill, because we already point out here, certain skills need sword or axe, certain skills need two-hand mace, certain skills need two-hand weapon. Like it's gated even further, right? It's obnoxious, right? Let's see what else is here. Chance to hit, inflict fire exposure on hit. Exposure is relatively hard to get, so I would imagine I'll do the math on these. These are all relatively fair value too. 16 times 5. This is probably under. This is like 2 div territory. Probably under a div, right? This is actually surprisingly cheap, right? 16 times 5. 80 chaos. 80, 40. I'll say 45. 2 div territory. Just under, maybe 1.8 div. Like, this is actually relatively cheap. And exposure is relatively difficult to get. And they're all on wand. For some reason, someone decided not to do any nonsense with the wand, and you could choose any element to put down. Now, I don't know why rune daggers not included in here. I don't know why daggers. I don't know why this is not all one-handers. I don't understand the rules here. Why I decided that only wands are allowed to get exposure. But okay, I'm sure someone has a spreadsheet or, you know, board back at GGG headquarters to explain the logic behind why they're using what they're using. Right. Enchantment's pen on spell hit. This is in the territory of your bleeds do extra damage when your target is impaled. This is that, like, someone's supposed to figure out a build for this. I don't know who that someone's going to be, but whatever build it's going to be, it's either going to be meme or meta, depending on if they can pull it off, because I don't really know why you'd want to impale your spell hits. I don't know if you can even cap impale once you pull that off, and I don't know how expensive it would be to build a build around impaling with spells, right? I'm sure somebody's willing to go theory craft whatever cancers involved with spell hit impale. I promise you, without even going into researching it myself, that spell impale is probably dog shit. So we're gonna keep moving. What else is here? +2 to physical melee gem, to socketed melee gems, war staff only, or staff only. Same territory, +1 to all. This is too specific. If I had to choose between one or the other, I would choose +1 to all. But I mean, you can get some weapons up to +8 or so. And what I noticed this league is when they did the adjustments to melee skills, because before, getting +1 to melee wasn't that great because melee wasn't really scaling that well. But now with the new melee skills, they actually do scale a bit better. Like if we take a look at lacerated hemorrhaging, As you can see down here, I'm going to scroll down. We'll take a look at levels. So right here, how it's set up here is the levels are down here, and then the damage effectiveness. Right, this is all we're really focusing on. We'll go right down to level 20. Level 20, last rate of hemorrhage is 346% damage effectiveness. All right, and then the bleed effectiveness is 132%. Right, and then we go look at 21, 360, 135, 22, 376, 138. So it's roughly going up by 16% a level, which is not bad, right? So scaling gem levels for melee is something that people aren't really considering this league, but I guarantee you there's gonna be more builds looking into doing it next league, right? Because if you can get, now you look at this weapon here and you're gonna get 3 global on the staff, plus the 2 to socketed, plus the 2 to socketed on the top here. You're getting roughly seven levels here. So now you're up to 463% spell effectiveness. Now this is last rate, of course, and last rate is in the territory of being a axe or melee or axe or staff weapon only. So you cannot use it with the staff, but you know, you can use a ground slam, you could do earth shatter, you could do some other 2-hand slam, mace oriented bone shatter, right? Stuff like that. So, well, actually, I think isn't bone shatter 2-hand axe? Oh no, it's mace. So you could use that on those, right? And consider it, right? So yeah. So melee gem level scaling is something that will be considered, but not this league most likely. And also being stuck to staff is one of those territories of like, why is this designation here? Why is war staff the only weapon being allowed to use +1 levels to skill gems? All right, we got fortify on hit. Fortify is always good. Stuck to, is that a dagger?
How's it?
Dagger. Okay. All right. Sure. I mean, I guess it's hard to get fortify. You won't have to. This just kind of annoys me because I would use this on my weapon if it wasn't relegated to dagger. But here we are. How much is this anyway? Mountain rune. Now, mountain runes are, like I said earlier, 45 chaos a pop, right? So this is actually fairly expensive to do, right? This is something you put in your end game weapon unless you have currency to throw away, right? Because already we're 37 mountain runes, which is 1,665 chaos. That's a lot, right? That's roughly maybe 12 divs, 11.1 divs, right? War runes, 24 of them. They're 4 chaos each. 96 war runes, and life runes are 3 chaos each. So you need 32 of those. You're in well into 12 div territory for this melee hits fortify. We don't know what percentage of fortify. We know that if you're using a dagger, you're probably up on the assassin side anyway, because you can't use lacerate with a dagger, right? It's a 1-hand axe or 1-hand sword. I don't think that counts a dagger. Didn't try. I guess there's other skills you could use that you would use to consider a dagger if you want to do champion side, but I'm still thinking you'd be either shadow or ranger or using a dagger with some kind of melee hit skill. I don't know, but this is actually really good. I like melee hits fortify because it does free up a link if you use fortify support in your build, which I do. I do use fortify support in my build, but so I would consider putting this on if it was for axe. I would actually consider that over the increased physical damage, and then I would change this to something else. But since this is dagger only, it's neither here nor there, right? This is staff only for rage on hit, so it's like whatever, who cares territory. And it's also super expensive because it's mountain runes. Also, this is like 3 divs. So this is a div. Actually, it's just under 2 divs. I mean, it's still not worth it, but Then here we have 10 to 20% chance for bleeding inflicted with this weapon to deal 100% more damage. This is really cool. I would put this on my weapon, but it's dagger only. This is super expensive. So let's do the math on what this is work out to be, because it's 133 mountain runes. Holy Christ. So 45 chaos each, 5,985 chaos translates into roughly 39 divs. 39 divs for this part only. 39.9 divs. You know, we don't want to get anyone's hopes up. You know, it's because it's under 40 divs, right? 39.9 divs, 88 war rooms at 4 chaos a piece, 352. So we're already at 2 divs, 2.5 divs, well, 2.2 divs here, roughly. Sun runes, div, just for 1.5 divs, just over a div. Altogether, 40s. We'll give it 43 divs and change to do. Chance for bleeding inflicts this weapon to deal 100% more damage. This is a very strong enchant. Is this 42 divs, 43 divs strong? I don't think so. But if this is your only weapon, if this is like your last bit of your weapon, I would throw it on this. 2 bats for dagger only. And then what? What's the poison mace build? Scepter build? What is it? What, like, is this this what? I don't like these weird and arbitrary weapon restrictions on these skills here. This is dagger, this is mace. I feel like this should be dagger. Well, this should be all one-handers. They should all be all one-handers, but this for sure should be daggers and not mace. Who's like, I'm gonna make a poison build, I'm gonna start with a scepter or a mace, you know? Like, usually dagger comes to mind for that, right? I don't know. I like it. Come on. That's what kind of limits it, right? Where it's like, this is very cool, this is very cool, this would be very, very good for a lacerated hemorrhage build, but you know, lacerated hemorrhage requires a axe or a sword. This is a dagger. Let's see, 5% of your maximum mana as fire damage to attacks with this weapon, and this weapon is a one-handed sword. This is also in 45 div territory. I don't know how strong this is. I promise you it's not worth 45 divs. I might even do the math on the rest of this. I can look at this and see this is 45 divs, and I'm gonna say no, right? There's no way. Iron grip, we already know what iron grip does. I don't think iron grip on a claw is worth getting. I don't think iron will on a scepter or mace is worth getting. I don't think far shot on an axe is worth getting. I don't think point blank on a wand is worth getting. I don't think it's worth getting, especially for, what is this, 68? That's definitely at least a couple divs, right? At least 10 divs, right? Let's 68 times 45. Let's go do the math real quick on that. 20 divs? Yeah, no. So point blank for 20 divs on a wand. What build are we doing? We already know that wand builds suck. I learned that firsthand last league when I tried to make my wand build last league work with the spectral, was it the wisps? Is anyone even using those wisps? Is anyone doing wand anything this league? No. I don't think wands are even at a place to even consider using, let alone drop 20 divs on point blank for wands. Skills fire additional projectile. We already know this is good. It's not an axe though. So by skills they mean what? Planting steel?
Are fickle here.
Can shattering steel even be used with an axe? I want to say it can't. I want to go check. So what we'll do here, we'll look for projectile. What melee projectile skills are there even to consider? So I guess additional projectiles would include volcanic fissure, bone strike. Let's see what else is here. There's too many. The green skill, we'll just go to melee. What are we looking at here? Double strike, no dual strike. Viper, spectral throw. Spectral throw could probably benefit from that. Frostbite can benefit from it. I don't think animate weapon can benefit from it. Whirling blades, nope. Electric strike, not a projectile skill. Elemental hit, not a projectile skill. Let's see. What else do we have here? Lightning strike. Yes. Lightning strike can use it. Reeve. No. Lacerate, no. Spectral helix. Yes, if you want to deal with that gross playstyle that it does. Actually, lacerate works with. I think lacerate works with two-handers also. So normal lacerate doesn't. I mean, transfigured lacerate does not. Normal lacerate I think works for two-hand axes. It just says axes and swords, or maybe the type. Maybe they just updated the text here but didn't update it here. I don't know. I don't have a two-hand axe to test it out with. I mean, I probably could just buy one from the vendor, but I'm not going to. What else? But also, it's not a projectile skill, so it doesn't really matter. Let's see. Retaliate. Nope. Not a projectile. Wild strike. It'll work with wall strike. What else? Blade flurry. Nope. Blade flurry is not a projectile skill. Not a projectile skill. Not a projectile skill. Huh. No, I thought shattering steel was projectile. Where's shattering steel? It is a projectile skill. Why didn't it show up when I searched? Oh, it's not a melee skill. Okay. Doesn't have a melee tag. So shattering steel would work with it. Lancing steel would. That's not nice. Where is it? Where's lancing steel? Is it no longer the game? Oh, I typed in shatter. Should have typed in steel. I'm dumb. Let's see. Lancing steel would work with it. Okay, so there's a whole bunch of skills that they're there, but it's like two-handed axe is hyper specific. Also, I didn't really like two-hand axe when I was messing with it. It has the same defensive issues that I was worried about. I'd be worried about before, but it's not terror bad like I originally thought it would be. But also, again, the specificity of being tied to a two-hand axe is one of those things where they're gonna be like one of those fireside chats to explain why they decided that this is the weapon they're going to relegate this to. But a Nimbus on a one-handed mace here. Skills fire 2 additional projectiles. The projectiles are fired in a random direction. I feel like, and it's for mace only. So again, this is it's for two-hand mace only. The only thing I can see is working for well is volcanic fissure. That's it. And then sundering, the sundering of ground. Is that even a projectile skill? That's sundering? That's sunder of ground breaking, whatever. Is that considered a projectile skill? I don't know. But it's one of the transfigured gems are the only gems I could consider putting this on. But then we're into the 25, 26 div territory again. Hold on, let me do the math on this. This 87 mountain runes times 45. Let's see real quick. We're in the 26 div territory, not counting these. 20, like is 2 additional projectiles that fire in a random direction worth 26 divs? Maybe. You'd have to really love whatever niche not meme build you're doing, right, to decide to put that on your weapon. Or maybe I'm just not seeing it. Maybe someone has already done a build video for it and they're like, yeah, you're just wrong. You're wrong, Simon. This is what it is. Let me show you. Ward. So time runes are 1 divination each. 1 divination orb each. 5 to 10% chance to restore your ward on hit is 100 divs. That's up to you. You think that's worth 100 divs? You let me know in the comments. Let me know in the comments you think 5 to 10% chance to restore your ward on hit is worth 100 divs. Okay? You let me know. All right. 10 to 20% chance to inflict corrosion on hit. What is corrosion? So I had to look it up, and I found these gloves here that was just 3.17 called the Ceaseless Feast, and the Ceaseless Feast has 20 to 30% chance to inflict corrosion on hit, and corrosion is a debuff that inflicts. Oops, let me bring it up on the screen here. Ceaseless Feast here. Corrosion is a debuff that causes negative 5,000 to total armor and negative 1,000 to total evasion rating per corrosion. Corrosion lasts 4 seconds and refreshes the duration of existing corrosion. This item drops from Infinite Hunger. I have never seen these gloves drop. I have never picked them up myself from the Infinite Hunger. I have never seen them sold. I've never had the urge to look up these gloves because I didn't know they existed until I read this single line in this check here. So that might be on me not looking up the loot of all the bosses that what they drop, or me never need to gain corrosion on hit. But the gloves themselves look kind of interesting, but like all uniques that GG releases, there's always some negative to that I just don't care to waste a slot on. Corrosion is not interesting enough for me to build around.
Give you a hand, but
These ceaseless feasts here, are these like how much do these gloves even go for? I feel like they're 1 chaos. Yeah, they're 1 chaos. All right. I've never seen these gloves before. I don't think I missed out on anything by not seeing them before. And I'm not surprised they're only 1 chaos gloves. Okay, so chance to inflict corrosion on hit with spells. Now we just read that corrosion reduces armor and evasion rating. Why would you want to do this with a spell? I think I guess there's certain spells. This is a skill that's relegated to the melee spells, I guess. The what's it, some of the melee spells, I can't think of the top of my head here. I have to go back to what's her name to look at them. But there are a few physical melee spells that you could use. Was it Blade Vortex is one of them, I believe. Some other ones. But yeah, so I'm guessing it's for those kind of skills. It's with a dagger. I guess you could make use of it. Is it worth 11 divs? Except for you to decide that one. Gain elusive on critical strike, 55 divs.
So,
Exterior attacks deal 80 to 100% increased damage. I'm not gonna lie, I would have used this one because I do have a battle mage, auto exert battle mage cry setup going on, so I would have this running at all times. I would use this. It can't go on axes though. You know, there we are. Doesn't go on axes. Don't know why. Staff only. For the slam builds that are all those little staffs are building. Those staff users are always like, you know, I want to get me a nice staff for my slam build. Well, you know, maybe that's the encouragement here to start using some staffs to do some slam builds for the staff nodes that are around. Who knows? 15 to 25% to damage over time multiplier for elements from critical strikes. This goes with the perfect agony. It's 15 divs, so very expensive on claws. This has some synergy. Wait, is this claws? No, I was looking at this. This is one-hand sword. If it was claws, this would be like a no-brainer. You could probably make this work for sure. One-hand swords, you could probably still make it work, but it'd be much better with claws. But the claws are the rage effect here, and rage with claws is kind of like whatever. But this is interesting. This is interesting. Because if you dual wield, you put on both weapons, right? If I think of a perfect agony build with champion dual wield, this could be very good. Very expensive though, because it'd be 15 divs a piece for both weapons. It doesn't say anything here, but it's not stacking, and this range is wide, 15 to 25%, and we've already established that you cannot reroll. This is a wide range. This could either be 50% increased damage, or this could be 30% increased damage if you roll low twice. And I don't know how you fix it, because you're going to want to make some GG daggers before you even think about dropping a 15 div enchant on them. And if you brick it, rip, you know. So let's keep going. 7 to 10% increased rage effect. You would think this should be able to go on the rage oriented weapons, but of course not. This claws only, which is like when I think of rage weapons, I do not think of claws. I think of two-hand anything. One-hand swords, axes, maces. I don't think claws, but you know, well, I guess claws is not bad. 8 divs. Gain Arcane Surge after spending 200 life. Free Arcane Surge. This one's hard. This one, not really hard to gauge. I guess it'd be decent. It's on wand only though. I guess wand is fine because if you're using a wand, you'd most likely use something that would benefit from Arcane Surge. I wish it kind of included staffs. This should be wand, staffs, rune daggers.
Lost my blade.
8 divs. A little bit more. No, probably 10 divs because of these other side runes, but 8. Well, let's go with time runes that are pricing for the rest of these. 8 divs. Onslaught for bows after spending 200 mana. This might be worth it. This might be worth it on a bow. Still 8 divs. But I could see myself throwing it on a bow here if I had no other chance. If I had to look through all the other enchants going. This feels like it's top 3 bow enchants. I haven't even looked at all the enchants yet. But I've seen what I've seen so far. And it's either you add one of the flats. Or you add this. I think that if you POB'd it, probably the permanent onslaught would probably work out to be worth more than the flats. But we have to go through and check. Insufficient life doesn't always prevent your melee attacks. This line is only on Kingmaker. That's what that is. And it's available for a one-handed mace. This is another one of those, like, I kind of wish it was on some two-handers. 6 divs. Right. Very expensive for what it does. In this league, everyone was kind of like trying to figure out how to navigate their mana issues with melee. So they all went, not blood rage, they also using blood magic, right? I didn't do blood magic. I went with mana reduction and mana reservations. So I like using my mana. So you know, so that line would be a cool enchant to consider. Where we at here? I don't know if it's worth considering for the 6 divs, but it's a cool line to consider. 1 second, let's find where we left off here. These other attacks, here we are, right here. +2 level to all spell skill gems. One-hand sword only. No, this is a 2-hand sword, right? 2-hand sword. This is strange. I don't consider 2-hand swords and spells a thing that blends together.
Yes.
I don't know if 2-hand swords can roll the same way staffs can roll either. I gotta go Craft of Exile and check that out. Gonna pull up Craft of Exile and see what you can do with the points on that real quick. So we'll see. We'll go 2-hand weapon, staff. We'll go to sword. Gotta do some adjustments here on my screen. All right, so we got +1 socketed skill gem, +2 to melee gems. The 2-hand sword does not roll the gem levels as high as staff does. It also doesn't have the global, right? So I just can't see. I guess there's, yeah, I just can't see why you would use a 2-hand sword for any kind of spell damage. Maybe. I have to go on Lana. I mean, yeah. I mean, I gotta go check. I don't know all the tags off the top of my head to know like which gems have which tags, in order to see what the value of this is. Because you would need a spell and melee skill to use this properly. And honestly, I can't think of anything at the top of my head that would benefit from +2 to all spells, but also be melee, right? So it's very, I don't think there's much, right? I don't think there's much in that combination of melee spells that you can really consider. So it's that territory of why would a 2-hand sword be a thing for getting that? Because I'm just not seeing it. Yeah, like I'm just not seeing. Maybe Blade Vortex? No, I'm just not seeing the spell melee combination of 2-hand sword. Yeah, like I know I'm not crazy here. There's no way there's any kind of synergy going on with 2-hander. I don't know why it would be 2-hander as the choice of a weapon for +2 to all skills. I don't know why that would be the way they would go about doing it. It just seems like it's a good enchant that is made terrible by the fact that it's stuck on two-hand swords only. It's something that everyone would consider using. If it was available for every weapon, it would probably be an easy slam. And even at 56 divs, I can easily see people considering doing this, especially after you make a nice double +1 wand, slam this on there, now you're on +4. I think 56 divs would be worth it if it was available to every other weapon type, but because it's only available to two-hand melee, this is trashed here. I wouldn't even consider it. Let's see here. We've got curse enemies with temporal hit chains on hit. 3 divs for punishment, 3 divs for enfeeble, 4 divs for endurance charge on kill. I mean, these are all whatever, right? These are fine. You'd have to, if you have your curse limit increased, I don't know why you would consider using this on. Hey, hold on, we're back to this nonsense again. Sword, axe, mace. All right, these are like hard passes just because of this nonsense, right? What else here? Like why are these hyper specific? Anyway, endurance charge or kill, not bad, not worth 4 divs though. It's only claws, only maces, only axes. Well, axes make sense because you're at the bottom of the tree there, and if you're using axes, you're passing over you know, this disciple of unyielding, disciple of slaughter. So you have access to endurance charge, you have access to frenzy charge. What you don't have access to is power charge, because the power charge wheel is up here, right? So it can make sense if it was covering all the melee weapons down there, but it's only covering axes. It seems arbitrary, like every other one of these weird runesmithing every one of these runesmithing penalties. It just seems arbitrary, right? What else we have here? We have 100% chance to gain additional Val Soul on kill. This could be interesting. This could be interesting, but it's on your, what is this, wand? I've never felt like I had trouble getting Val Soul charges to the point where I would spend 13 divs to gain additional Val Soul charges on kill. This is for sure not worth 13 divs, right? Add 5% of your maximum energy shield as cold damage to your attacks. This is 44 divs.
Killing me.
Oh, this is even more than that. That's 66 mountain runes on top of that. We're in like 60 div territory here, aren't we? So 44 divs plus 66 mountain runes. 66 mountain runes turns out to be roughly 19 divs. So we're in, oh Jesus, we're in the 65 div territory for this. 10% chance to aggravate bleeding on hits your targets with a claw. This with a bow. 5% of your maximum energy shield is cold damage to your attacks. Just no. What else? I mean, I'm not saying I know you can get your energy shield rather high, so this could be a lot of damage that you can add in there, right? If you get like one of those builds where you get like 10k energy shield, right? 10k, 5% of 10k could be quite a bit of a damage that you're adding to your build, right? But I don't know. I don't think it's worth 65 divs, right? 10-20% chance to aggravate bleeding on targets you hit with attacks. It's still the territory you have to hit once. You have to hit once to bleed and then hit again to aggravate it. I don't think this is worth five divs. I mean, but I guess if you were stacking that route, well, this is also on this claw only, right? But if you're going that route of doing a bleed build with a claw, I would first ask why you're doing that. Why are you not just using an axe, right? And why are you not just playing a poison build if you use a claw? But then again, I'm here with my two-hand mace bleed gladiator, so you know, when I was starting the league off, so maybe you could do what you feel and make that work. I don't know if it's worth 5 divs though. Poison duration, 5 divs. Attacks cost life instead of mana. Jesus, 43 div. No, 65 div. We're in the 65 div territory again because of the 43 time runes and the 55 mountain runes. And we're in the 70 div territory because the war runes also, right? No, right? Unholy Might, 14 divs. The 15, 16 div territory, Jesus. +1 to max on some golems is actually pretty strong. This is on a bow only. What? Bow golem build or what? Bow golem build. Alright. Listen, you think you come up with a bow golem build, let me know. Let me know what build you're doing with that. To me, it's like I would, if you're gonna use this, you would want to use some kind of one-hander and get 2 of them, right? That was what the clay shaper was about. You get his money, but like one.
I lost my blade.
You got a bow. What are you doing with that bow? Are we using like what's that weapon that you use that summons minions? That bow weapon there. Using that maybe to trigger summon bow skill, summon minion skills. What's that bow called again? Look it up. Null's Inclination. That's it. Minions deal 1% increased damage per 10 dexterity. Triggers socketed minion spells on kill with this weapon, but you can't put this on unique. So I'm not sure what you are doing with +1 addition maximum golems with a bow. I don't know what build you're doing with this, and I don't know if you decide that in order to make that build work, you're ready to drop 16 divs to do it. Right? I don't know if you're there yet. Damage can be reflected. Just don't roll reflect maps. Definitely do not pay 30 divs or whatever this is working out to be in order to stop yourself from taking reflected damage with a bow. Just don't play reflect maps because that's the only place you're gonna get reflected. Definitely not worth it. Cold damage converted to chaos damage. Interesting. Is it 15 divs interesting? You're gonna have to come up with one hell of a POB for that. What else? Life bleach from hits with this weapon are instant. So power runes on my chart are 2.2 to 2.3 divs each. At one point they were 2.5. Right now they're 2.3. They're probably going to creep up a bit higher, but we'll go with 2.3 math here. This is asking for 11 power runes, right? So at 2.3 each, it's fairly expensive. Fairly expensive. Do you think this is worth 25 divs? 25 divs for life leech attacks with something are instant. And this one here is only 3. Well, this one here is still in the 6-7 div territory, right? So, it's up to you. You guys think that's worth life leech being instant on a, what's this on? Mace. Axe. Consider it. I mean, it's super expensive. Energy shield leech from attacks are not removed at energy shield leech effects from attacks are not removed at full life energy. This is also 26 divs plus. Haunted by tormented spirits. This one is the only one I see on this list that's super interesting to me. But it's wand only. I'm not re-rolling to use a wand just so I could check it out. But it's also in the territory of being roughly 30 divs. Just to check it out. But I am interested in seeing what this is because this sounds very cool. I want to see what that can do for the build. I want to see what haunted by tormented spirits means. I want to see how all these effects work. I'm not willing to spend the money to experiment with it. Socketed valid skills have 100% reduced soul gain prevention duration. This is also very cool. Also very expensive, right? Let me throw something in here. Actually, we'll go through the rest and well, let me finish that thought what I had going on here. So I have a weapon. I went and got it. I got this from the lead mechanic here. Cyril's Masterwork. And it's one of the newer maces, and what it does is it allows you to enchant. This is a unique that can be enchanted by the runesmith. And you can have 2 additional runesmithing enchants, right? And you could use any of the one-handed melee weapon types. And I was like, oh, this is very cool. But the reality is the enchants I would want to use do not really work on this. So, but I was interested in using this, but then there's two things that got in my way, and it's the cost of these enchants and how much of this tree is limited, what you can put on here, because all the cool stuff that I would want to use are wands only, right? Like that haunted by spectral wool, tormented spirits, wand only, right? So when I go look through here, it's like there's really nothing here that I would use. This is originally what I was considering maybe switching over to when I was playing my two-hand mace build. When I went to sword and shield, mace and shield, I was like, I'm gonna use this Cyril's masterwork, and then I would use two enchants, and I'll make something interesting with that. I could not. There's literally nothing here on this list that I would consider using, and because of that, I was just like, okay, there's nowhere else to go with this. They're all expensive, and they're not good enough. They're not good enough for what's being asked to make, because this weapon here, it wouldn't even qualify as a stat stick to me. But the only thing I could think of that could put on here is the flat fizz and maybe the crit damage over time multiplier. I'm doing the bleed last rate build, right? But before I was using the earthquake, right? Those are the only two things I could see that maybe. So, well, that was an interesting weapon there. I just kind of wish it wasn't so gated by it wasn't so hampered by the fact that, you know, all of these enchants can only use certain combinations of runes together, right? Let's go through the rest of these. All right, I just noticed that I had my screen covering up most of that last 5 minutes of rant. So here's the Cyril's masterwork I was talking about. This mace drops from shipping. Put this mouse over real quick so I can get you guys to see what I was talking about. Let's go through and finish the rest of this. I looked up what Flaming Icy or Crackling Rune Surge was, and what I came up with was this. It is explodes enemies for 100% life as fired on kill, and explodes enemies life as cold and lightning. So it's basically this explosion, right? Like the bleed explosion, the lightning explosion that you get from Impulsa, etc., etc. All right, but it's cycling. Flaming, Icy, or Crackling Rune Surge at random. So this would be okay if you're doing some kind of tri element, but it because it's cycling each hit, it loses some value there. It's also it's not prohibitively expensive. It's probably about 9 divs, 10 divs. I mean, I don't know if it's worth 10 divs. It's only a two-hand mace. A two-hand mace? Yes, two-hand mace. Battle mage, I guess. I can see there are some spell skills up there with claw that you can make work. Melee strike skills deal splash damage to surrounding targets. If you consider that cluster, this would be worth considering. However, it is stuck to a claw, and it is very expensive. We're into the 15, 16, 17 div territory, right? Gain random shrine buff every 10 seconds. This was actually very cool. I would actually consider putting this on if I was, again, staff that gets all the cool stuff attached to it. Very expensive. 26 divs, 27 divs or so. Probably a div or two. I don't want to do the math in my head on this one, but this is roughly going to be about 30 divs. All right. Depending on how it works, if it scales off your Atlas modifiers, which it probably won't, this will be very cool. But the way it reads, I kind of think it's another cycling thing where every 10 seconds it just changes buffs. And I think it lasts 10 seconds. I don't think it's giving you a buff that lasts, you know, the normal shrine duration. I think it just lasts 10 seconds, kind of like Cat's agility, Cat's stealth, you know, those Feral's fur kind of buffs. So let's see, trigger level 20 summon phantasmal skill when you consume a corpse. This could be kind of cool. This could easily be something work into a build. However, they will be unlinked. They will have no sockets. They will have they will be unlinked summon phantasmals doing single target spells. I don't know if you can make that work in a build. You probably cannot. And it's tied to a sword. Not even a convoking one, a sword. Power rune, 8 divs. So, you know, 9 divs or so to experiment with this. I don't know if that's worth it. Doesn't sound like it is to me. Increases and reductions to minion damage also affect you at 150% their value on a bow. If I was doing a Bama build again, I would use this. for sure. I would use this. I don't know if I need to, but I would definitely consider it. I would consider it very strongly and POB it. This is in how much is this? Jeez. 50 mountain runes. We're in the 15 div territory again. 15, no, we're in 20 div territory, right? This is roughly about 12, 13 divs. This is going to be about 6, 7 divs. Well, probably more than that, 7, 8 divs. Yeah, we're in the 20 div territory for this. 7 to 10% increase fire damage per 1% fire resistance above 75. This could be very interesting on a chieftain for sure. Easily. Two-hand axe also easy. Easy to make this work. This right here is one of the few that I'm not upset at. But again, locked into a weapon, it would always bother me. I like as an enchant, as a skill, I like this because I could see scaling this. Right. I think the max for overcapped res is 90%, right? I think you can get up there. I know you can get to 88%. So you can easily get yourself an additional, what is that? Between 75 and 90% is an additional 15% or so. If you get good roll, that's a lot of increased fire damage. That's on par with the light of hope, whatever that gem, the new one. The I have it in my build. The what's it called? The light of meaning. That's on par with that, right? That's very good. All right, that's something interesting they've added in there that I would definitely like. I would build around that. I don't like that it's relegated to two-handers because I think two-handers are just giving up so much survivability to be two-hander. But I could see it working. 50 to 75% chance to suppress spell damage while your offhand is empty. There is a unique weapon that can work with this. It's called the White Wind. And the White Wind, it has a 30 to 40% chance to suppress spell damage while your offhand is empty. Increase cold damage while your offhand is empty. So this is a nice pairing. This gets you there because you're missing a shield or you're missing a dual wield. You put this on. However, unique. You can't enhance uniques. And because of that, can you really make use of this? This would be great if you roll 75. If you roll 50%, this is a lot more pressure on your gear because you don't have I don't have an offhand on, right? And then what is it you're going to make? What is it you're going to make that's going to pair with it? Because this not giving you an offhand is made up for the fact that this has really, really high evasion rating and really high increased damage to cold, right? And it has nice flat. So this kind of makes up for it. What are you going to craft that you're going to rock by itself that's going to make up for the fact that you're missing an offhand? I don't know what that looks like. I don't know what it looks like. Chapter of Souls. And this goes on a mace too, right? Shepherd of Souls is I gotta look. I looked it up before. I believe it's what's Val Souls. Let me check it over again. Shepherd of Souls is the keystone passive, which causes your non-aura Val skills to have significantly less soul cost, but causes the soul cost to gradually increase each time one is used. The keystone effect does not exist, and the passive skill tree can only be obtained through Yalmic Record. Yalmic Accord. So Val skills have 80% less soul cost. Val non-aura skills have 100% increased soul cost per Val skill used in the past 8 seconds.
Where we headed today?
Yalmic Accord. What is this from? Yalmic Accord has restrictions on where or how it can be dropped. It cannot be chanced. It can be obtained boss from the Trial Master. Okay. I've never seen this weapon before. Shepherd of Souls is the effect from this weapon here. I wonder how much that costs. It's 3 chaos. Okay, so yeah, not missing anything, not knowing about this weapon. So Shepherd of Souls is the last weapon on this list here. It's roughly 8-9 divs also.
Give you a
Now,
hand, but
a lot of these enchants are kind of cool. They're kind of interesting. I really wish the runes were more plentiful. I understand that certain things need to be rare. I understand why the time rune and the power rune are a bit rare. But I think they're a bit too rare. I think that the drop rates should be increased much more because there's already so many restrictions on these weapons. And especially for the league that they're involved in, I think that because the league is already temporary, these runes should be in abundance. You should want people to experiment with them, play around with them, balance test them, and then next league, if you decide to make them core, then you go balance it by having these absurdly low drop rates. But for this league right now, I should not be looking at 50, 60, 70 divs and evaluation and estimations of how much it's going to cost me to put an enchant on that I'm just trying to experiment with. I can't even test this out unless you're really, I know I said through some of these that, yeah, I'm going to throw it on POB and I'll test it there. But the reality is not everybody is a POB warrior and not everybody should be a POB warrior. And I'm not really one either. But I understand that if you're going to spend that kind of investment on a unknown variable in this game, that you should probably do it on POB first to see if it's worth the money, because this is a straight up currency deletion. There's no selling it back. No one's gonna buy it. You're not gonna be able to price it into the cost of your weapon, and you could brick because you can't remove. And I just don't really understand the direction GGG chose with the runesmithing. I thought it would be much cooler, but with how expensive everything is and how slow it is to come by these runes, the fact that these runes are real time to acquire and buying them all yourself is very it's prohibitively expensive. I would say that there's too many unknowns and it's too expensive to experiment, and I would not risk my weapon experimenting on anything that came out here that's beyond what you can already choose, that you already know will work. That's why the only thing that was considered is increased physical damage, right? I think there's nothing else in that list that's like, okay, this is worth a risk. And I don't, there's a lot of things that this league has done that I'm not a big fan of, and I think that so far I'm not really enjoying it. I would like to finish the challenge as quickly as possible, then I can stop playing and play something else, and then come back next season when PoE 2 supposedly starts. I'm guessing that this is my last league before that, but so far I do not like this league, and it's because of all the time constraints that are going on with it. I don't think gold is coming in at an adequate rate. I feel like I am constantly doing maps just so I can feed gold to this machine here so these guys can map. I feel like I am constantly chasing currency for this city, and I feel like once the end results come in, that the rewards are not worth the effort I am putting in order to make this thing run. And it's at the point now where I just want this to end, right? I don't want to see what else is happening next. I want to do all the achievements I have left. I have a few challenges left. I am right now 19 out of 40. I'm going to finish the last of my challenges, and then I'm going to stop playing this game. I'm going to go play something else, and then I'll check it again next season and whatever they announce next league, and see where they're going with that. But I don't like the direction that GGG is taking. I don't think it's not the same game as it was before, right? You could tell that with Chris Wilson gone, there's a lot of things happening with this game that it's a very clear change in company vision happening right now. I remember the vision used to be always something that was joked about, but right now, a very clear change in direction. Anyway, that's a video for the other day. I just wanted to go over the runesmithing enchants here and go through one by one and see my thoughts of them and see if they're worth looking at, worth considering. And so far, there are some cool things here, but because of the weapon restrictions and the cost, I will not be using any of these. I will not be making new builds around any of these. I will not be experimenting with any of these. I don't care what these things do. Because of that, I'm not opening this again ever. And if I were to tell people what order they should upgrade things in, I would say upgrade this last and only upgrade it because you have to, and don't even consider upgrading it until you get your own time rune and your own power rune, unless you're going to quit the league like I am. I got lucky. I got a power rune early on. I didn't even know what it was for, but I know I had to keep it because it was super expensive. And I was like, all right, well, everything's coming in slow and I'm probably gonna need this. So I got the power rune, I got the time rune, and I saved myself the currency required to buy it. That's gonna be all. Thank you guys for dropping by. I appreciate you for giving me your time as always. Like the video, subscribe, comment down below if you disagree with me. Maybe you heard me say some things. They're like, hey, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. Some of these builds do exist. Let me show you this wicked, awesome spell crit in impale build that's out there. All right, have yourselves a good day. This is the video watching me today. Good afternoon or good night.